Hello and welcome to the Crumbs and Doilies shop in Soho. We haven't done a video in here for a while. Well, I haven't anyway. You might have seen Dane and Sally do one, a cookie perhaps. One of our favourite suppliers, Keylink, which is a UK-based company who supply all kinds of chocolatiers from professionals to the hobbyist. They have just sent us this, which is a really new product. It's the Pistachio Spread, because they've just launched this new online bakery store where they're going to be selling things that you could use in your bakes. So for example that, loads of other kinds of spreads and inclusions and coatings and stuff. And they sent me some to try, and it made me think, as soon as I tasted it, it made me think of that viral Dubai chocolate bar. If you haven't seen this chocolate bar, I feel for you. I don't know where you've been. It has literally been everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. And I've never had it. I've never been to Dubai, and you can get versions of it here, but I thought, seeing as I've got myself like the world's biggest tub of this stuff, I can make it myself. It's a milk chocolate bar, so find yourself a good quality milk chocolate. Of course, we get our chocolate from Keylink, so that's why we have this gigantic bag over here, because we go through it. We've got the pistachio cream, but also because the flavour of it is really delicious, it's really creamy, but the pistachio flavour is just maybe a little bit subtle for my taste. I'm boosting it with another product I got from Keylink, which is the Pistachio Paste, and that's essentially pistachios pasted. That's going to boost the colour a little bit. And then the last thing is Kunafa or Kadafi, which is pastry. It's like vermicelli almost. You can get the fresh stuff in your local Middle Eastern supermarket or online, and you just need to fry it off yourself just gently until it's this delightful golden colour. And that is the bit which is going to make this whole bar like this really unique crispy texture. It's so Moorish. So we're going to make the filling first, because that way we don't have to like mess about during like the chocolate phase, because we don't want to be doing anything but chocolate during that phase. So I've got myself a bowl here, and I'm going to start with 180 grams of the pistachio paste. And as you can see, it's spreadable. This is delicious. And then I have 20 grams of the pistachio paste. So that's this really rich, roasty, toasty pistachio paste. And then I'm going to add a good pinch of sea salt, and that's just going to bring out all the lovely flavours. And before I get the pastry involved, I'm just going to mix all that together, just so that I don't have to work too hard with the pastry and therefore like crunch it up a bit too much. Yum! And that paste is actually really good for loads of stuff. You could add that to blondies, you could add it to ice cream, you could add it to your cake sponges. It's great. That's all mixed up. Now I'm going to add the pastry. I have 60 grams of that. That is quite a lot. I like this bar to be super crispy. If that's not your vibe, just add it a little bit at a time and then taste it, which is the fun part. And if you're fine with the amount, like basically just put as much as you want in, but I've got 60 grams because I like crispy McCrisperson. Listen to that. All right, now, we don't need that yet, so I'm gonna try and resist eating it. Last night I made myself a bar of this stuff, and I didn't use quite all of this, and I literally ate the rest of it like it was a bowl of cereal. So if you're gonna do that, no judgment here. Okay, let's talk a bit about the chocolate. I'm getting a facial from this steaming pan of water that's here, so I'm gonna have everything ready. That's really important to have everything ready before you start tempering chocolate, because timing is of the essence. And if you want a really in-depth tutorial on how to do that, check out Sally's video from a few weeks ago. She goes into real depth with it. She does it with dark chocolate, so the temperatures are slightly different to mine, but the principle is still the same. So I have my frying pan here, which is bubbling away. It's got a couple of muslin cloths in there, because that's going to protect the bowl of chocolate from the bottom of the pan. I also have a tea towel, which is going to dry the bottom of the bowl of chocolate when it comes to it, because we don't want any water going anywhere near the chocolatey bits or the chocolatey things. I have two bowls, heat proof, one big, one small. Actually, this one doesn't really need to be heat proof, but this one does. That's for my chocolate, and this one's for my extra chocolate, which I'm going to use to seed and temper the rest of it. Just gonna put that in now. Then what do we have? We have the mold. So I've got this. There are loads online. This one, if you're looking online, this is a polycarbonate chocolate mold. This one has 4 cavities. I'm just going to do 2, because four of those bars is quite a lot. And I already made 2 last night, so you know. So if you have one of these exact same ones and you want to do 4, just double this recipe. But you may find different sizes, you may find silicone ones. The silicone ones are good. They're much easier to get the chocolate out of. However, I don't think you get quite as nice a shine on your tempered chocolate as you do with the polycarbonate. The difficulty with polycarbonate ones is if you don't temper your chocolate spot on, it's just impossible to get out, and I have been there so many times, I can't even tell you. So hopefully that won't happen today and we'll be good. There it is. It's nice and deep so that we can have a filling, and there's loads online. I also have a large sheet of baking paper or greaseproof paper, whatever you want to use, and that is going to collect any drips or excess chocolate that I put onto it so that I can then leave that to set and use it again. You can drip it back into the bowl, but this is quite a small bowl, so we'll see how we go. This is very, 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 very important. A probe thermometer, or you can use an infrared thermometer. So hard to say. If you prefer, this is crucial. You can't temper chocolate without a thermometer because you need to get these very, very specific temperatures. I've also got a piece of tissue to wipe that bad boy once I've stuck it in my chocolate, so we don't keep putting cooled down chocolate back into a melty chocolate. Spatula for stirring, a palette knife. I've got one of these cool things, which is my new favorite thing, which is like scraper. So we're gonna scrape the chocolate off the mold with that. Spoons for filling things. Basically, a whole host of really useful tools. Just get them all ready. I'm going to do 2 bars, which in my mold, they're roughly 120 to 150 grams of chocolate used per mold, but you always kind of want to have a bit more than you need, because if you're working with exact amounts with tempering, it can be really hairy. Like if you only just have enough to fill the mold, then you'll be messing around trying to fill it up and it'll be going out of temper, and it's just not the one. So I've got 300 grams of chocolate, of milk chocolate, good quality stuff, as per behind me, and that's going into my heat-proof bowl. Now you can put your chocolate, your master chocolate bowl onto the frying pan and just straight away with a rubber spatula start stirring that, making sure that you get all the bottom bit scraped off, because that's where the hottest bit is. When, say, 2/3 of the chocolate's melted, you can take it off the heat and just get your probe thermometer in there just to check at this stage what the temperature is. We're aiming for a temperature at this point between 40 and 45 degrees C. So if it's not quite there yet, just whack it back on the heat. But again, we're only going to do this like a few seconds at a time. So once the chocolate reaches between 40 and 45 degrees C, take it off the heat and just stir it. And then we've got our little bowl of extra chocolate chips here. I'm not going to add all of these, I'm just going to add a few at a time. And what that's going to do is bring the temperature of this chocolate down. And this can take a few minutes to do. What we're aiming for here is to get the temperature down to a working temperature of 29. Now, if it goes below that, that's fine, just don't take it any lower than 26. So keep adding a few chips at a time, and then when it gets close to it, honestly, just add like 1 or 2 at a time, because once it hits the right temperature of 29, you can always remove those chips. And if it does go below 29, you can just pop your bowl back on the frying pan for literally a second. We need to get the first stage of our mold filled. So I'm going to pour a small amount of chocolate into my mold and then just jimmy it around to get in all the corners and up all the sides. Once I've got a good coverage, I'm going to rattle the mold on the worktop. So this is just to get rid of any air bubbles and just to even out that chocolate. Now, of course, this is more chocolate than we need, so we need to put some back into the bowl. So I'm going to empty out the excess chocolate back into this bowl, or if you wanted to, you could do this onto the sheet of greaseproof paper. And then just leave that mold to set while you go back to your chocolate and just get it back to that working temperature of 29. And this could mean literally just dipping it onto that frying pan of water for a second or two, giving it a stir and just checking that temperature. You always want to have it at 29. Once your first stage of chocolate is tempered and set, we can put the filling in. So I'm just going to do this by grabbing little spoonfuls, dotting them about, and then using my palette knife to even it out. The main thing here is to not overfill it, because otherwise you're not going to have a nice flat top when you put the rest of the chocolate on. So if it feels like you've got too much on, just take a bit out. And go back to your chocolate every now and then just to make sure it's at that working temperature. Just dip it onto that water, give it a stir, check the temp, and you're all good. So once you've filled your chocolate, you can pour it directly on, not too much because we don't want it really splurging everywhere. A little bit of splurging is okay. And then just in the same way, just tip it around here and there just to make sure it's got an even coating, and then give it a little tap on the worktop to get rid of any bubbles. If you've got one of these amazing chocolate scrapers, just scrape the excess off. The main thing here is to make the edges of the mold as clean as possible, otherwise it can really get stuck in that mold. And then set your mold to one side to temper. If you want to speed that along, you can put it in the fridge if you want. Oh, wow. You know, we were just having a conversation about whether that would happen first time, or if it, you know, hadn't been tempered properly and if it gets stuck in the mold. And so I said to Nikki, just get ready just in case it goes right. Look at that, it just slipped right out. So, oh my gosh, how exciting is this? I've got people waiting. With people, like Giuseppe's waiting for a bit. He's finished his work for the day, but he's like, can I have a bit of that chocolate bar? And I was like, I guess so. How beautiful is that? Now, that looks like perfectly tempered chocolate, and you can see how lovely that shine is. And you definitely wouldn't get that with a silicone mold, so that's why I prefer the polycarbonate, even though it is a bit more tricky to do. Should we do a break open? Is it ready? Is it my turn? Yes, it is my turn because I'm the only one here. So let's have a little nibble on that, shall we? Oh my gosh. What is with that pastry? It's such a crazy crisp. I've got a really lovely strong pistachio flavour in there. And that's because we boosted it with that pistachio paste. But that pastry, really, really makes this extra special. And my chocolate, I'm going to tell you, I've got a really thin coating of chocolate on there, so it's really all about the filling in here. But I tempered that chocolate pretty damn well. I'm pretty pleased with myself. So please do give this a go. And if you haven't heard of Keelink, please check out their website because it is a literal treasure trove of things you didn't even know you needed. If you are at all interested in chocolate or baking, it's got so many things. You're like, oh, what can I do with that? It's a really inspiring place. And at the moment, if you use the discount code that's somewhere on the screen now, crumbs10, you can get 10% off your first order and free delivery, which is pretty cool. And if you're in the UK, in UK mainland, if you order before 3, I think they do next day delivery. So if you're a spontaneous chocolate maker like myself, and you're like, oh, what will I do tomorrow? Maybe I'll make chocolate, then head over to Keelink and get yourself some bits and bobs. Anyway, I suppose I better share this chocolate out with all the hungry mouths. So I will do that, and I will see you very soon. Ciao. Here you go, Giuseppe. Right, give that back.